Do you have some new birds and you're trying to introduce them to your existing flock? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video, so stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Rednecked video. Again, my name is Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I focus on helping you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your garage, your balcony, or heck, even a spare room in your house if that's what you're looking to do. Today we're talking about quail and specifically how do you introduce new birds to an existing flock. And if you've tried that before, you know that it's probably, it can be incredibly difficult to do because when you put a new bird into an existing flock, the quail tend to get very territorial. They'll start picking on that bird. A lot of times they can poke their eyes out, they can scalp them, and heck, they can even beat them to death to kill those new birds. This is my cage right here with my standard quail in it. Let me open this up and hopefully they don't fly away when I do it. Okay, so you can see my existing flock here. I've got a jumbo rooster and a jumbo hen mixed in with the standards. I'm going to let them do some interbreeding and see how that works. I had 7 birds in here and I added 5 more to it. And so far, they're getting along just great. I had a group of 5 grow outs. I grew them out, let them produce eggs for a couple of weeks, get to maturity, and then I just added them into this flock. And that's worked out pretty well. And I've found that does a pretty good job. If you're mixing birds together, if you can mix, you've got 5 birds that are, well established, these 5 birds are well established with each other, and you mix the 2 together, that tends to work pretty well. And you can see these guys are pretty calm. They're not picking on each other. And if I open up this section right here, get a shot inside here, you can see they're mingling in pretty well. They're not fighting with each other. Nobody's got bloody head or anything like that. You may not be able to see all that from the video. Let me see how much we're actually capturing. But you can see, for the most part, these birds have been pretty calm. Once you guys get back a little bit. I'm going to close this up so they don't jump out on me while I'm taking this video. Another thing that you can do, let's say that you've got a group of birds, 5 or 6 birds, and you want to add 1 bird to them. If you have a small cage that you can put that 1 bird in, set it inside the caged area with the other birds so they get a chance to get to know that bird, mingle with it without it being outside of that cage where it can get picked on, then a lot of times they'll start getting acclimated to that. After about 3 or 4 days, you should be able to open that up, let that bird out with the rest of the flock, and it should be fine. That's another strategy that works really well. Something else that can work really well. Let's say I've got a group of, 5, 6 birds here that are all well established with themselves. They've got a good pecking order established. They're doing just fine. And I've got 3 more birds that I want to add to that group. It might be tricky to add those 3 birds to that group because they're outnumbered and they'll get picked on. But what I could do is I could take, let's say, a rooster and a hen from that group and match it with 2 more hens from the existing group, put them in their own cage, take another hen and match it maybe with another hen or 2 or a rooster and a hen from the established group, put them in their own cage together, give them time to get acclimated together, and then mix them together and add them back. So that just kind of mixes it up a little bit, gives them a chance to kind of get to know each other. What really we want to avoid though is just throwing 1 or 2 birds into an existing flock of more than 5 or 6, because you throw 1 or 2 birds into that, they're going to single them out, they're going to pick on them, they're probably going to kill those birds. And I've had those problems tremendously. Here's another thing to be considered about it with that is you may have, like I have grow outs, sometimes I'll grow out 20, 25 birds all together. And they're getting along just fine until I start calling out the roosters. And then if you have a group of, let's say I cull down to 5 birds, they've all been together for their entire life, they're all getting along just fine, but I call down to 5 birds and I leave 2 roosters in there. That's a little bit of a high rooster ratio because that means that's 2 roosters to 3 females. And a lot of times that will cause fighting between the roosters. They'll pick on each other, they'll try to establish dominance over that and kick the one male out of it. So if you've got a little bit of a high rooster to hen ratio, it can be difficult to kind of mix those 2 together as well. I usually find 1 to 3 hens or 1 to 4 hens works pretty well. I can get away with about 1 to 3. It's a little bit harder for me to get away with anything less than that. If I do 1 to 2, sometimes that causes some fighting and some picking on each other. But other than that, again, mixing equal amounts of birds together, that seems to work out pretty well. And I even had a hen in here that was starting to get a little bit bossy, I guess, with the other hens in the grow out pen that they were in. She was starting to pick on them just a little bit, not drawing blood, but really starting to pick on them. When I added all 5 of those birds to this existing group of 7, Brings me up to 12 total. She calmed down right away. Haven't had any problems with her being bossy again. I think she kind of got put in her place by maybe one of the existing hens or something like that, but haven't had any problems. Now, I still need to watch these guys for a couple of days because a lot of times you'll make it through a day or two, no problems, and then they start picking on each other. But right now it looks like everybody's getting along just fine. They're mingling in together pretty well, and no problems. Now, here's something else. If you've got a great big cage area, this isn't going to be as big of a concern. I've got 12 birds in this hutch, and that's not overcrowded at all, but it is close enough chambers that if they start picking on each other, there's nowhere for one of them to go to hide out. So if you've got a big, like an open area, flight pen, or a ground cage that maybe is 6 foot long by 4 foot wide, and you've got little boxes and things in there for quail to hide in, you may not have nearly as many problems adding birds to that because they've got places they can get away and hide and get away from the flock whenever they start picking on each other. In these hutches like this, you just don't have that option. All right, so as always, hit that subscribe button below. If you want to keep up with this content, consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see more of this kind of great content coming your way. I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this helped out a little bit. And as always, God bless.